It just seems like there are so many games featuring robots and mechs coming out lately, whatever it be for early access or a full release. Today, we are taking a look at Void Crisis. It advertised itself as a tower offense game. I'm not sure if that's the classification I would use, but the graphical style and use of mechs had me intrigued. Regardless, is there enough here in this early access title to justify the $25 price tag? Before we begin, I was provided a free code from Hexadrive Inc. to take a look at this today. While I appreciate the free code, it will not deter me from a fair and honest review. Sounds good? Let's begin. So you start off the game by selecting single player or multiplayer, and due to the lack of people playing this game currently, I stuck with the single player. From here you spend points to select your mech known as VAs in this game, as well as for your AI teammates. Points are also used to upgrade your mech in 4 categories: attack, defense, mobility, and energy capacity. Only one VA to choose from at the start, but you'll end up with more as the player level increases. So this is mainly accomplished from completing missions as expected, and I did end up with 4 to play with, and we'll get into them a little bit later in this review. You can then start up the battle, and this is basically what you'll be doing for the whole game. So you need to destroy towers along your way to the boss at the end of the stage, and along the way you'll also need to destroy minions as they come to try to destroy your core. So it's a bit of offense and it's a bit of defense. So you use the left mouse button to attack and the right mouse button for one of your skills, and there's also other buttons on your keyboard that you can use from skills, and later on I did figure out that you can also boost using the control key. Shift is to go down, and spacebar is to go up. So it's pretty easy to grasp, but there are a bit of controls, but once you get used to it, it's basically becomes second nature. It's a pretty easy game to grasp though overall, but everything is a freaking health sponge, and it just makes everything feel just far much longer than necessary. Things lacked impact when you shoot it down because of it. You also level up during missions from killing enemies and destroying towers, and thankfully teammates destroying enemies and towers will also help you level up as well. So it's important to return to base to heal up and recover energy, as you can get killed pretty quickly if you're not careful. Getting killed will respawn you at the base after some time. You can also use an instant respawn, but it can only be used 1 per mission, and it reduces your overall rank by 1. You can also add EX matrices to boost stats and provide unique abilities. It takes materials to make this, and they're collected automatically as the battle progresses. Definitely a lot to process in terms of making your VA stronger. That part I would say does take a bit more to get used to. But like a lot of these RPGs, it's all about just getting your numbers up and getting things up as high as possible. I'd recommend to focus a lot on attack speed, and speed in general, since you're gonna get killed in a few hits anyway, so defense isn't too important. And also add energy capacity, I would say, is like your tertiary focus, secondary or tertiary focus. But yeah, definitely recommend if you play this to focus on attack and speed. So I do have several issues in this game, and one of the more annoying ones is the constant dialogue. You're provided updates throughout the battle from what it's going on, enemies approaching the core, a tower destroyed, etc, etc, and it honestly just becomes noise after a while. It's like, it's so many, like, you know, alerts just telling you what's going on. It gets annoying. If you ever played like Mega Man X8 or X7, it's a lot like that. So each VA also has a different voice to respond to the operator with. The operator is the one really just giving you the updates, and each VA has like a voice. I think it's called the pilot, basically responding to the operator. Most of it's just kind of whatever. 2 of them are kind of cool. There's 2 other ones that are just annoying, so you go from there. So as I stated previously, I tried 4 different VAs. The first one is recommended for beginners. It has a ranged weapon, and it's okay speed. It's kind of slow, but it's okay. Fast enough to circle around the towers, but you can definitely improve the speed with the upgrades I spoke about before. The second one is pure melee. It's very fast. You can just zoom into enemies. It's got some pretty good skills as well, but it's very easy to get killed, even easier than other mechs that I'll talk about. The third one is the worst to me because it has just a horrible windup every time you strike, and you're just way too open. Also too, like if you use any skills, you're open as well and you're just gonna get killed. So you have to time using your skills basically perfectly, even ultimates. It does have some support items to heal troops and to survive, provide some buffs, and the AI was surprisingly well in using this, so I just gave those mechs to my AIs to use. It's also incredibly slow, but technically provides the best defense. And the last one has some really cool skills to stun the enemies with, and this was the one that I ended up using the most. It is kind of easy to get killed early on with this mech, but a lot of the skills focus on stunning the enemy and doing a bunch of cool things, and it was the one that I ended up using the most. Not the most, but that's the one I used at the end to finally beat the game, as it had a pretty good damage potential, along with having a range attack. A bit slow, but definitely my favorite. But yeah, this is gonna need a rebalancing because a lot of these mechs, each mech seems to be very like lackluster in something. So I'm hoping to see a rebalancing in the future. Once you complete a mission, you will be awarded with points to spend, as well as effects that can be applied to the next mission. Your pilot will also gain skills that can be used, but I didn't see much of a difference here. Maybe a higher player level will unlock something, but I'm just not sure there. Again, there's a lot of variables to track, and some of it seems like it's supposed to do something, but it's hard to really notice things. And I mentioned this before, but one of my biggest gripes with the game is just the health pools that enemies have. I most notice this a lot with final bosses in each stage. Bosses just have a ton of health and have some annoying abilities that make it even harder to damage them. Either they can put on a shield that you need to destroy, which you can only hit in certain spots, and those spots take forever to get down, or just doing some things where they can just kill you and just win outright, or just a very annoying abilities, to say the least. It just gets very tedious swinging away, hoping they will go down, and I just lost several missions because I just couldn't do enough damage, and I kept having to run back to my base to defend my core, and I kept doing that so much that I couldn't relatively do enough damage to the boss, so I just kept running back and forth and ended up losing that way. Gets tedious. So when you lose a mission, you basically have to start over, and you can only carry over your player level as well as whatever skills that your pilot has learned. I think it's called pilot, but like I said, I'm not too sure. And you have to spend your points again to use the VAs, as well as needing to upgrading them as before. So it's honestly just very discouraging to have to go back through the tedium again just to get back to where you were. And the game is only 4 missions too, so it's not really like there's a lot anyways to do once you finally beat it. You do unlock new difficulties, but you saw, like, it's already a bullet sponge. I can't even fathom how much of a bullet sponge it would be on harder difficulties, so I couldn't continue after that. So performance and stability wise, I ran into no problems here. And just as a quick refresher, I am using a AMD Ryzen 5 5600X, as well as an NVIDIA 3060 Ti. So there are some specs for you there. So it ran very smooth with barely any hiccups. The graphics themselves were also very good. I really like the designs of the VAs as well as the use of color. I mean, you know me at this point, if it's an awesome early access game, I love to recommend it. And this game has freaking mechs, so any game with mechs I just love to recommend. But I'm unfortunately just very underwhelmed with the final product, or with the product that is here right now, I should say. The concept is great and has a ton of potential, but it's just too boring and tedious at its current state. With only 4 missions to go through, there's really not much to justify the $25 price tag here. And unfortunately, the game doesn't seem to have much of an active community, along with a ton of negative reviews, so the future unfortunately doesn't look very bright here. Here's hoping for a quick turnaround and some improvements in the near future. So as always, thank you guys for watching. Please stay tuned for my Immortal Empires review, as that will come down in the future, at least for the beta. Thank you guys for watching once again, and this is Powerhouse signing off.